Well, my guest today is Joel Champlin. Joel, thank you for being willing to share your Aerostar weight and balance spreadsheet with us.
You are
Before you
welcome.
walk us through the spreadsheet, most people I'm sure know who you are, but for those who might be new to the Aerostar community, why don't you tell us how you're connected to the Aerostar Owners Association?
Well, I've been a member for a long time, but about, probably 12 years ago, I got more involved and I'm on the board and have been held some officer positions. But I try to help with the projects like, the training manual and, these videos, love these videos. I'm kind of the liaison to the board. And, but I've always tried to take, whether it's a weight and balance sheet or other spreadsheets and whatever I can do to kind of help the Aerostar. If it helps me, I'm hoping it helps somebody else, so I'll share it.
I'm sure it will. Maybe you could do some screen sharing and just kind of walk us through the spreadsheet and how someone might use that for their own
Right.
calculations, how they can customize it.
Okay. Okay. Tell me when it's up.
It is up.
All right. So this and there have been other people who have input on this, but I kind of took it and here's how I did it. And this one that I have on the Aerostar Owners Association website is password protected, but that's just so that somebody doesn't accidentally change it. So, and the password is just Aerostar, all lowercase. So if
Okay.
somebody wants to modify it, I'm fine with that. But if you look at the bottom left, there are three tabs. The first one is about your flight. The next one is about your aircraft, and I've clicked on it. Oh, there we go. And this is things about your aircraft where you put in the different things. And then the third one is where calculations are done. And I'll show you how it works. If you look at on the upper left, and that's up here, note number one says that to customize it for your airplane, you change what's in the gray boxes. So if you go to the aircraft, you would change like at sea level. You'd make these things for your airplane. Is for my 601P. I have intercoolers and short props, but it'll be pretty close for any 601P. And
That's
then fuel
that's
in the
power
climb.
settings and cruise speeds.
Yep. And then fuel in the climb, fuel in the cruise, um, and then the weight and mount balance limits. Yours are, somebody's that's going to be similar. Let's see, basic, empty weight, climb airspeed, and the rate of climb. And I have that set kind of low. I usually do better than that. But if I'm fully loaded, it's going to be at sea level on a warm day, it's going to be more like 800 feet per minute. But and then descent, what airspeed I use for descent. And
Okay.
it doesn't have to be exact, but once again, then that will come in and that will help these calculations. So if you look at the spreadsheet here, um, this is where on the front page, and you don't have to go to this when you're using the spreadsheet, but if you're like, okay, how did they come up with that number? This is how it comes up with it. And so I just decided rather than having a formula, have it back here so you can actually look at it. So
Great.
now, and if you have questions, just stop me.
Okay.
But now if I go to the flight tab, you look and you enter in the blue boxes the values for your specific flight. So let's just say we're going 200 nautical miles, altitude, is 12,000, cruise airspeed 210, fuel reserve. I like to keep 60 minutes, so I like to land with an hour in the tank, and so that's where. But you would obviously change that if it was an IFR reserve. You'd take add the alternate, and then if you still wanted to land with 60 minutes, that's how it would do it. And
Great.
if you look, there's and this is not exact, but no wind rule of thumb. If you're going 100 miles, it's 30 minutes, and the altitudes, 470, and this is for no wind, and then what your cruise airspeed would be. And there's no magic to this. It's just and truthfully, I will use the winds aloft on ForeFlight or something like that, and it gives you a little bit better idea because there's hardly ever no wind situation. And
Okay.
then
What's
uh,
the significance of the nautical miles column in that group of numbers?
that's okay. If your trip is 100 nautical miles, it's going to be about a 30-minute trip, and a altitude of 4,000 to 7,000 would be, an
Got
altitude you might pick. No
Okay.
sense going up to 15,000 but if you start getting further than that, now I'll be honest, I usually go, like I'm just going up from, let's say, Dallas to Tulsa. I mean, I'll be more in the, I'll be more in the flight levels. I won't be, if I'm not IFR, but I'll be more around 17,000, 17,500 or something like that. So
Okay. Great.
um, let's see. Now you have your weights. So if you look at the blue boxes over here,
Hmm.
you have your weights, the pilot, co-pilot, uh, middle passengers or baggage, and that's both seats combined. And I usually travel with either just one seat in, usually one seat out. But if you have both in there, you would want to modify it for that. But rear passengers, and that's both combined, and then baggage compartment, and then you have your fuel. And so you look down here. Okay, I've got 90 gallons in the wings, and you can see underneath that there's a calculation. So if it was full and I had to defuel it, I'd have to take 34 gallons out. Fuselage tank 41 and a half. And a note to anybody: on every flight, you pretty much want to make sure your tank is full.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of a no-go item for me. If you fill up the wings, and it should all work out just right, and you could do double crossfeed or something like that. But it's just smart to keep your fuselage tank full.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Can
then,
you go back one moment
sure,
to the
yes.
number of gallons to defuel? Can you explain that a little more?
Well, so if I put in, what is it, 124, 124, the both wing tanks combined will hold 124
Yeah.
gallons. Okay. So, um, so in this case, no fuel to I wouldn't have to defuel anything. So, I don't know. So most people probably don't have the ability to defuel, but some places, I was at a place where they could do that. And
Yeah.
so I typically would have them fill up my airplane whenever I came back. They just meet me at the hangar, fill it up. And the thought is that you have less condensation in the wing tanks. And
Yeah.
so it's a better way to keep it. We always did that, but now I'm where it's everything self-fuel. I'm in Corsicana, Texas, and it's all self-fuel. So I don't really do that. And I'll keep it if I know that I'm going to go a long flight and weight isn't an issue. I'll go ahead and fuel it up.
Yeah.
Uh, if I'm not sure, then I will leave it kind of wherever it is and fuel it
Okay.
up either the day before or the day of my flight. So let's just say we put in fuel 124 gallons. That's full. 41 and a half. I don't really do over the fuselage tank. There is a device you can overfuel. I won't
Mhm.
really go into that. They're out there. I don't know, how approved they are or not, but a lot of people have them, and some
Yeah.
airplanes have them. Um, and then if you had, I don't have an ox fuel tank, but that's where that would go.
Cool.
And then you look, and then here's the takeoff totals, and you can see that we are above first of all, just the takeoff weight. And if you look down here, the expected duration of the flight is 1 hour basically. Fuel required is 40 gallons. takeoff weight. We're 161 pounds over. And if you look at the chart over here, you can see, yes, we're over. We're still within the CG, but we're over on just total weight.
Gotcha.
Fuel reserve, it's adequate for the flight after fuel reserve. So we've got 91 gallons that we don't really need. So let's go up here and say, well, okay, to get rid of 161, I can calculate it out, but let's just say I'm going to reduce this by to maybe let's just see 74 gallons
In the wings.
and in the wing. And so now all of a sudden we are 58.61 for the weight. And you can see in the graph that we're underneath. So that looks like, but we still have a 41 gallons even after the reserve. So we have, almost
Great.
2.5 hours when we land. So
Yeah,
totally good. We could, and that's one thing that a lot of us piston airplane flyers, we tanker around a lot of fuel. And if you're flying jets, that you fly more high performance airplanes, you can't afford to do that. And so you have to really be more accurate about calculating. So this, I try to be more accurate about calculating the fuel I actually need and not tank around a bunch. Because I'm telling you, the airplane flies way better, when it's lighter. And if you've ever
yeah,
taken off for after maintenance and the wings are almost empty, and boy, it just rockets up, and especially on a cold day. And
sure,
and
yeah.
and that translates into better performance at cruise and everything else. So, anyway, that's the spreadsheet, and I don't know what. And you can also change. Let's just say, okay, you needed to go full distance, and so let's just go ahead and 124 on the fuel. And now, okay, well, okay, we're gonna have to tell everybody, okay, we're not going to be able to take that person. Man, we're still a little bit okay. Everybody's gonna have to be really low on so we can only take maybe 100. Okay, so we are right underneath on we're right underneath 6,000. So that is a go flight. And if we were going to say the distance was, I don't know what that would be. Let's just say 700. And we still have 10 gallons of fuel even after the hour reserve. And
Great.
obviously, if you go up here, the fuel at the top, the fuel reserve, that's 60 minutes. That's kind of my, personal one. But let's just say it was now an IFR flight, and I wanted, you know, uh, if you're going for actual reserves, then you'd have to go to your alternate, and then, what is it 45 minutes, I think. So,
Yeah, for IFR
um,
overnight.
so it wouldn't change it a lot, but I cushion even my IFR reserves. So
Yeah,
I don't really, you can probably get 800 or something like that nautical miles with a pretty good IFR reserve. But,
yeah.
you know, I'd rather land and get fuel than, push fuel.
Oh
So,
yeah, that's a way better choice. It's nice that I like the graphics here, that when you change these numbers, that it depicts it right within the envelope and where both your takeoff and your landing CG and weight is going to be. And that you've also got a flight planning feature to it too, because not everybody uses ForeFlight or Garmin Pilot. So
right.
what a nice tool.
And I'll tell you that for this airplane, let's just do this. We'll go full fuel, and we'll have no passengers, and let's just say it's me. Well, and let's just say I have a heavy co-pilot, so another person, my size. You can see that, especially when you're landing, you're starting to get it pretty close to that forward CG. And what I'll
Interesting.
tell you is, my experience is it does make a difference on how the airplane flies. And I think it has less to do about when the airplane with a forward CG like this, and the wings are starting to get full, you don't have any baggage in the back. What happens is you come down and you're doing your flare just like you always do, and all of a sudden you're still like 3 feet off the ground and it just quits flying.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, I don't think it really has much to do with how the air is coming over the wings. I think it has to do with the picture you as a pilot are used to seeing, and you're used to seeing that come up. And because at some point you're no longer really as much on the airspeed, or if you have a angle of attack indicator, and you come off and you're really focusing more on the big picture, trying to get a nice greaser landing. And so you're looking for that picture. But I'm just telling you, if you haven't done it, it will surprise you when that airplane all of a sudden. And on the other hand, if you have your synergy farther back, sometimes it'll be like you kind of go clunk onto the deal. You're trying to flare it, but it's not really wanting to flare very much. So um, how it works exactly, I don't know. But if you're used to being in the middle and you go to either end, just can maybe carry a little extra airspeed to the
Yeah.
to the deck. So
Yeah. It's interesting how some Aerostars tend to be nose heavy and others tend to be tail heavy.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're within the balance, they all fly really well, and not a problem. It's just when you're slowing down and landing, and I just think it's the visual picture that you're used to
Yeah.
changes. And so,
Yeah.
you know, so just carry, usually the solution to an Aerostar, carry a little extra airspeed. And I
Yeah.
know I know people don't like to hear that because energy management is super important, but unless you're going into a super short airfield, and you know what? You can almost always land in a shorter airfield than you can take off from.
That is
So,
true with this airplane.
so the
Yeah.
real thing is, you get in and land, safely and smoothly. So,
Yeah. Great. So just to reiterate, the flight tab is where you put information about the flight. The aircraft tab, you probably don't mess with that often because mostly that's fixed information. It doesn't change, I would imagine, right? Or maybe
correct.
one or two things you might alter. And then
Yeah, you might fine tune it a little bit for your aircraft.
yeah, okay. And that's of course where another owner would come in and put their CG limits and their cruise numbers and all that,
Yep.
flying a 700 or whatever the case might be. And then the calculations tab just gives you some interesting calculations regarding the flight.
Yep. That's where the sausage is made. And
Yeah, okay.
so that, and for some people, they don't really care. A lot of people are interested in that. And the gray and the blue area boxes you can change without the password. So
Gotcha.
just if you don't accidentally go in, and so like if I click on this and I want to change, I don't know, that to different. Let's just say I'm going to change that to 50 miles. Okay, it's trying to change a protected cell. You'll say okay.
Ah,
And so let's just see if I come up here and I go to review, and it says you click on, and it's unprotect the sheet, the password, and it's just like I said, Aerostar.
all lowercase.
And if anybody had all lowercase, now I can make that 50. But I usually like to, and I'll just take it back to 45.
Yeah, okay.
And then you can protect it, and I have it selected. I don't have the whole spreadsheet because you don't want to do that, but the ones that are certain ones are locked,
Yeah.
and then I just put Aerostar and protect it. Aerostar. And that's it. And now you can change the distance, or whatever
Gotcha.
the things for the airplane. So
What a great resource this is. Thanks for sharing that with us.
you are welcome. And if anybody has a suggestion, I'm available. Or if they have a question about something, I'm always available to help take calls. And this will be available. I think you're going to have available. It's also on the Aerostar Owners Association page on their
Yeah.
forum.
Yep. Or the resources library link in the course itself, either way. So
Yes.
how would people find your contact info? Is that in the AOA website?
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe I'll put it on the at the bottom of the spreadsheet. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but the best place is the Aerostar Owner Association. They have there's a forum, but there's also a place that says about, and my information is over on that about section too.
Great.
So,
Great.
all right.
Thanks again for sharing.
You're welcome. Thank you.